everyone. We met on Sunday the 20th to welcome in the new season with our patrons here at the Reishi level and up. And so now we're just a few days into winter, and in honor of this new season, we wanted to answer a question from one of your fellow patrons here about changing our relationship to the cold. So the question is, hi, I write to you today with a question. I just listened to the podcast Belonging, the episode with you in it. I was born and mostly raised in Norway, but I have for as long as I can remember resented the winter. I often get depressions, feel stuck and almost paralyzed. I start to long for the summer in August, just as the air gets crisper, and I need to find a better way to cope with this. Do you have any advice? And this is from Tony. Please forgive me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, of Norway. And yes, I do. This is an issue that as a Puerto Rican growing up in Connecticut, where we have 6 months of snow sometimes and cold weather, I have explored this extensively. And so my first advice is that if you have any desire, any kind of an urge to explore, or you have an existing medicine practice, plant medicine practice, to spend time tuning in with these plant teachers or fungi teachers in different locations, landscapes, environments, weather, ecosystems, and see what there is to see, because when we're in medicine, we're more sensitive and we're also more focused. So we have the ability to both take in more information, but then to actually process that information into the communications that they are. So one of the main things that many years of medicine practice has given to me in my life is, what is the word? I guess I'll just say the ability to advocate for myself, and the ability to see how I was trained as a woman and as a woman of color to allow other people to dismiss my needs and my sincere attempts to communicate my needs. And so I was trained that all of my needs were unreasonable, and that it was too needy, and that everything that I was attempting to communicate was unrealistic and unnecessary, a luxury and extra. So I had all these beliefs about my needs. So then when I would have a need, like being cold or being hungry, I would kind of go straight to like panic and disempowerment and shutting down, feeling overwhelmed, feeling confused, because my body and a part of me, the health within me, knew this is a need, but the conditioned aspects of myself were suppressing those communications from my holistic and multidimensional self, saying, no, that's unreasonable. That's like part of your pathology, that you're just like such a taker, and like, you need to just chill. No pun intended. So medicine helped me reclaim my ability to say, like, these are basic needs, and no one else is going to take them seriously but me. And so it takes a lot to potentially like to change our habits. But then to go to the other side of that, it's believed that my ancestors, the Taino, migrated down from the Andes, the peaks of the Andes, where it's very cold, to the shores of the Orinoco River, where they learned to build canoes, and they traveled in canoes along throughout the Caribbean and settled in Quisqueya or Dominican Republic, Haiti, or Borican, Puerto Rico, and, you know, southern Florida even. And when I tune in with that, why would you go from the peaks of the Andes to these warm little islands in the Caribbean? Um, because you want it to be warmer. That's what makes the most sense to me. So these great migration patterns, think about birds, that the entire tribe of birds moves someplace cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter, and how we put our roots down, or we learn things about surviving in different environments. We become identified with them. We create culture from our relationships with the landscape, and over time have become less migratory. And so the choice to stay somewhere freezing cold, it is a choice. And there are people who evolved in those climates whose bodies are better adapted, that carry more layers of fat, that don't have a lot of sweat glands, that retain the heat. And then there's always people amongst the same genetic groups whose genes just express differently, and they carry less weight, and they have larger pores that throw heat away from the body. And so there's a self-honoring quality to saying, to realizing, like, and self-accepting, to say, like, I just might not be that well adapted to this environment, and do I have any ability to be gentler, to choose a gentler way of life, a place where I can breathe easier, where I can flow, and maintain homeostasis with less effort and expense. So medicine can help us to identify the patterns that hold us stuck in environments and relationships and ways of being that are not truly serving our basic needs. Watching the Disney movies Frozen, watching Frozen 1 so that you have the context for Frozen 2. Frozen 2 really has the frequency that I think you're looking for, which is this evolving understanding of the way that the cold and the ice affect our emotions, or can be metaphors for certain emotional responses, and that thawing into an expanded view of who we are and what our powers are for. It really landed in my body. Both myself and another sister of mine had a really religious experience watching Frozen 2 that actually has helped me to be in cold environments as a person whose body is not particularly well adapted to that, because it's given me like a beautiful, inspiring mythology that I can connect with, to feel more of a sense of meaning, or feel like I can recognize the nature spirits and interact more directly with the nature spirits that are specific to cold weather climates. And the last one is kind of back on the self-responsibility piece of just saying, like, we have to advocate for our own needs. So I had a huge problem allocating the appropriate amount of money in the budget for winter gear, for proper footwear, for quality wool materials instead of cheap cotton or polyester blends. Polyester might seal the heat in, but we don't necessarily want to seal all the heat in. We need to breathe and regulate. So to be very sweaty on the inside and cold on the extremities, or the edges of our plastic performance gear seal is not always the answer. So back to self-acceptance, self-worth, to say, yeah, a large amount of my earned income needs to go back into firewood, wool blankets, the bed, space heaters, electric blankets, wool socks, hot water bottles, and just accept that's the expense. That's what it means for a Puerto Rican to live in the mountains where there's snow, that, life will probably be less expensive if it's part of my destiny to move back to some place that my body is more adapted to the environment. But for now, it is what it is. And so I roll with a hat and socks and scarves and layers that I can take on and off, and have developed an identity as someone that like needs to be dancing within and swimming within layers and mediating these extra layers, that doing the work that some people's organs do for them, and they don't have to put as much like conscious thought into. I doubt you made it this far if you don't have this issue, or you don't share this particular karmic matrix with myself or Tony. But if you did, thanks. It might have been boring for you. But if you do share that karmic matrix of just having like a really potentially contracted, a difficult relationship to the cold that you're looking to shift, I'd love to hear if this helped, or if you have your own ideas, advice in the comments below. Blessings.